The dog had been reading you the whole time. Not your words, not your face. Something much older. In your nervous system, before the feeling had found a name, before you'd decided to give it a voice, something that had been triggered, and every time it placed a paw on you and simply held it there, motionless, silent, for no apparent reason, it wasn't asking for anything. It was responding to something. Once this is over, you will never feel that paw the same way again. A dog named Tex climbed onto the hospital bed of a dying woman and placed both his paws in her hand, completely still, without shifting his weight, asking for nothing, just his warmth, in that room, at that hour, touching the woman's skin. The woman had ALS. Tex had been sleeping at her feet every night for 6 months, first in their bedroom, then on the hospital bed her husband had moved into the living room, when he could no longer manage the stairs. Tex barely fit, yet he slept, every night, without anyone asking him to. When she was transferred to hospital, her husband took Tex to visit her. The dog climbed onto the bed, placed both paws in the woman's hand and held them there, motionless, expecting nothing. That night, after returning home, Tex pulled the woman's pink dressing gown over himself, lay down on the floor. The woman passed away the next day. Those who came to pay their respects said Tex knew she was going. What I know is this. Science, only now, only recently, is constructing a language to describe what that movement actually was, what it carries, what it does to the nervous system that receives it, what it says in a vocabulary that existed long before either species had words. This is that language. You probably thought he wanted something. A walk. Attention. Food. Most people think that, because the simplest explanation is often true enough to feel like the whole answer. It isn't. Not even close. When your dog places a paw on you and just holds it there, at least 3 separate things are happening simultaneously, not one after the other, all at once. And the third one, which almost no one knows, is the reason Tex knows how to climb onto that bed. The first layer is what you've already suspected. Your dog, most likely as a puppy, discovered that placing a paw on you elicited a response. You turned around, looked, you reached out your hand, you made that special soft sound you reserved just for them. The behavior was reinforced, repeated. This is true, but it's merely the outer surface of something far older and far stranger. The second layer stretches far further back than the memory of any dog. Puppies need their mother's bodies to stimulate milk flow, one of the first coordinated physical steps a dog takes, programmed at the deepest neurological level for warmth, security, and survival. This motor pattern does not disappear as the dog grows. It evolves. It is passed on. It finds new targets. When you place your hand on a dog's skin, a part of that ancient program is still working beneath the surface, just like a river flowing beneath the ice. The third layer is the game changer. A paw offered low, gently, and held without pressure is a calming signal, a behavior dogs use to communicate that they pose no threat to the beings around them and to reduce tension. In the grammar of canine body language, this gesture is not a request. It is not a request. Rather, it is a declaration. I am not a threat. I am with you. I am here. All 3 layers, simultaneously, every time that paw comes down. So what is actually happening inside your body when the paw comes down? The answer is far stranger, and far more physical, than you might think. In 2012, a group of researchers from Goldsmiths, University of London, set up an experiment that seemed simple, but went on to become one of the most illuminating studies in the field. They brought dogs into a room containing 2 people, the dog's owner and a stranger. One of the people would cry. The other would hum quietly. The researchers then observed what the dogs did. The expected outcome was clear. The dogs would go to their owners, the figure they were attached to, the familiar one. That was not what happened. The dogs went to whoever was crying. Whether it was the owner or a stranger, it made no difference. And they approached with a consistent, distinctive body language. Heads bowed, movements slow, seeking contact through nose rubbing and gentle pressure. They weren't seeking comfort. They were offering comfort to someone they'd never met. No bond, no training, no reason to approach other than one. That person was in pain. The dog doesn't go to a crying person because it's confused or following a rule. They go because they sense the emotional pain in another being, and something within them cannot leave it unanswered. This is not in the sense we usually mean it, a choice. It is more like a law. 6 years later, Emily Sanford and her team at Johns Hopkins took the question a step further. The study was called Timmy's in the Well, inspired by Lassie, and the title is far more apt than it sounds. 34 dogs were separated from their owners by a sealed, transparent door equipped with magnets light enough for any dog to open. Half the owners cried and asked for help. The other half hummed the national anthem. The researchers measured just one thing: the time it took each dog to push the door. When the owners hummed, 96 seconds. When the owners cried, 23 seconds, 4 times faster. A single emotional sound reduced the reaction time by more than a minute. Then came a detail most people have never heard of: the dogs that didn't open the door whilst their owner was crying. The kind you might describe as indifferent or cold, showed higher physiological stress responses than any other group in the study. Pacing back and forth, gasping for breath, heart rates exceeding those of the dogs that opened the door. They weren't unaffected, they were overwhelmed. They cared so deeply that their own pain paralyzed their behavior, yet their sense of empathy remained entirely intact. The dogs that didn't come running weren't cold. Whilst trying to reach you, they were drowning in pain. Now, right at this moment, beneath your skin, something is happening that makes all of this meaningful at the level of nerves, cells, and bones. There are nerve fibers in your skin that are not concerned with pressure or pain. They do not map sensation in space, nor do they help you locate where you are being touched. They are concerned with just one thing: whether something is there or not. Slow, gentle, constant. Just as a dog holds its paw when it's about to walk away. These fibers, a specific category that science has only recently named and studied, do not send their signal to the area of the brain that processes touch. They send it to the area that processes emotion. And when that signal arrives, both your nervous system and the dog's receive the same message simultaneously: you're not in danger. Let your guard down. Your dog's paw isn't asking anything of your brain. It's telling your brain something. And your brain, without your awareness, without your permission, listens every time. Think about what that means. Whilst you were sitting there, lost in thought, perhaps not even noticing the paw was there, your threat detection center was receiving a signal. Ancient, chemical, sensitive. A signal your body was designed to receive precisely of this kind, having lived alongside them for thousands of years. An article published in Scientific Reports in 2021 confirmed the final piece of the puzzle. The researchers compared how wolves and dogs responded to physical contact with humans. Both species had been hand-reared from birth. Both had close, consistent relationships with their carers. Both were completely accustomed to human proximity and touch. When the researchers measured the hormonal response to gentle, sustained contact, the dogs showed a distinct and significant increase. The wolves did not. The implication: the chemical reward cycle for cross-species touch, a neural system. Feedback that says this contact is important, do it again, is not merely a product of familiarity or closeness. It has been shaped. After living alongside humans for centuries, dogs have developed a nervous system that chemically reinforces precisely this kind of gentle contact with this species. Not just any contact, not just any species. This species. You. There's no accident in the paw. There's no accident in any of these. But there's one more thing. The hardest part. The thing I always come back to. I'm wondering what it means to climb into a hospital bed and clasp both hands together. I'm thinking, to hold that position without moving, without wanting anything, without needing a response. Pulling a pink dressing gown over you and lying on the floor all night without so much as moving towards the door even once. Nerve fibers were firing. The hormonal cycle was at work. The soothing signal was operating in a language that had existed long before either species had words to describe what was happening between them. All of it, simultaneously, in a room where someone was dying. People said Tex knew he was going. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I know what it's like to sleep for 6 months in a place where you don't fit. I know what it means to place both your hands on someone in their final hours, to hold them like that, motionless, involuntarily, for no apparent reason. Science might be able to guess what it is, but it cannot name it exactly. And perhaps the fact that it still has no name is part of what makes it real. Some of you are sitting in the middle of something right now. Every time the dog puts its paw on you and you pull it away, every time it gets up too quickly, or when your mind is already elsewhere, or when you haven't understood what's being offered, hear this clearly. The dog wasn't putting on a performance. It wasn't executing a behavioral sequence. It was doing what their nervous systems were wired to do when they were near someone they'd chosen. Something selected, refined, and further honed from thousands of years of shared history. They were registering something in you before you yourself had named it. They were telling your nervous system that an alarm was about to go off. They were saying, whatever is in that room, whatever you haven't voiced in your chest, I see it. I saw it before you did. And I'm not leaving. Every time they reached for your hand in the dark, every time they pressed their weight onto your leg without asking, every time they clamped their claws onto you and held you there, motionless, expecting nothing, that system is working. It has always been working, even on the days you didn't notice. Especially on those days. The next time it happens, let them do it. And when you do that, when you stop moving, stop resisting, and simply allow the weight of that claw to settle, you will feel something your nervous system has been trying to tell you for years. You were never as alone as you thought.